All right, Shalom. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit, the Rakakwadash. And this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51 and verse 45. And it reads, it says, "My people, go you out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai." Verse 46, "Unless your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that should be heard in the land, a rumor should both come 1 year, and after that in another year should come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler."
Tonight, tear gas deployed after another clash in Chicago during President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. Homeland Security officials say an SUV carrying an undocumented immigrant trying to flee arrest first rammed a Border Patrol vehicle. Then the Border Patrol vehicle crashed into the SUV to stop it. Chicago police say a hostile crowd started throwing objects at federal agents who then deployed tear gas. 13 officers were exposed to it.
There's absolutely no reason to have this kind of chaos happening in our communities, putting people at risk, just exacerbating the fear that people feel right now.
The latest clash comes as DHS says Mexican drug cartels are now offering cash to target ICE officers and other federal agents. $5,000 to $10,000 for kidnapping or assaults on officers, and up to $50,000 for the assassination of high-ranking officials.
We're not backing down. President Trump and Secretary Noem are going to give our law enforcement the resources they need to succeed and clean up America's streets.
The president today once again touting his crackdown on crime in Democratic-led cities.
Chicago, we've already made a lot of progress despite fighting from the government, but Chicago's doing great.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is now refusing to play a video of DHS Secretary Kristi Noem at airports where she slams Democrats. Johnson calling the video propaganda.
Gabe Gutierrez.
Yeah, so this shit is heating up. All right? Blood and violence is going to cover the streets of America soon. Okay? This is from the epochtimes.com. Mexican cartels placing bounties on federal agents. Department of Homeland Security says the assassination of high-ranking U.S. officials could see payments up to $50,000, the DHS said. All right? So, hey, this is Jacob's trouble. All right? The clash is going to happen, right? Let's jump down here. It says the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, said on October 14th that it has obtained, quote, credible intelligence that cartels in Mexico have placed bounties on U.S. law enforcement officers and officials. Mexican cartels, which have used Chicago along with other major U.S. cities, such as Los Angeles, New York, and Atlanta, as drug distribution hubs for years, are now being confronted with targeted law enforcement operations and have put out calls to sympathetic domestic groups for acts of violence and intimidation against authorities in the United States, the DHS said. Quote, these criminal networks have issued explicit instructions to U.S.-based sympathetics, including street gangs in Chicago, to monitor, harass, and assassinate federal agents, the department said. All right, so, hey, now there's really going to be a target on you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and Hispanics. All right, and this video is flooding the internet now, what's going on in Chicago, how they're taking down Judah, the Southern Kingdom, right? And the testimonies have been saying, it doesn't matter if you're a so-called American citizen. They're taking everybody. All right, they don't give a damn who they snatch up, right? And this is all going to result into those wars, those civil wars. All right, it says the department noted several federal investigations which are still active that have uncovered intelligence showing the cartels have advertised a tiered bounty system of remuneration for various actions escalating in violence and ambition. Intelligence gathering or doxing of federal agents, including taking photos and gathering information about their families, could receive a payout of $2,000 in kidnapping or non-lethal assaults on Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, or Customs and Border Protection, CBP, agents can see up to $10,000 payment. The assassination of high-ranking U.S. officials could see payments up to $50,000, the DHS said. It says the investigations also uncovered that criminal groups, including members of Chicago street gangs with ties to the Latin Kings, had developed networks of armed rooftop, quote, spotters who track ICE and CBP officers and communicate their coordinates, right? Now, what's crazy, right? You know, we know, well, I found out, put it like that, you know, the cartels are being funded by the tiny hats, all right? The beloved elder Barack Allah has shared that with me some time ago, man. So I want to play this too, because hey, a lot of this shit, again, it's all orchestrated, it's all set up. And this shows you that that this devil, okay, he has his hand in everything. Check this out, right?
There were people from Israel, they came over here and trained Santiago Mesa, but later on, digging more in the information, one of the leaders of the cartel was sent to Israel to be trained of how to decompose the bodies and also how to make the drainage system. Can you explain that?
Yeah, in 1985, Elefra, he go to Israel in training to dissolve bodies in acid, and then when he back to Mexico, he come together with other person to Israel, to Tijuana, and then
So he came from Israel with people from Israel to Tijuana.
Yeah, to Tijuana, and then together to Israel and El Pozolero working together.
They trained him.
They train him, train Efra, Efra back to Mexico, and then dissolve bodies in acid, and then pick it up to El Pozolero, and both Efra and Israeli training to Santiago Mesa, El Pozolero.
Don't you think that is incredible? Because in Israel, it is considered a holy land, and people from Israel are training people to do that over here in Mexico. Do you think that is bad?
It's super bad, but remember in Israel the gas, it's in Israel the first state they using in the war the gas toxic gas, and it's in Israel starting because it's very sad for the families. And then example in Tijuana, Pozolero, in Coahuila is burning people.
Yeah, so this is happening, like you were saying, because this is the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. And like the scriptures say, how had the things of Esau been sought up? All right, so again, this devil has his hand in the middle of everything, man. All right, but it's all going to instigate, all right, Jacob's trouble. Okay, more death, chaos, and bloodshed is coming to these American streets, right? Here's another one. Okay, Homeland Security issues warning against doxing of ICE agents. It says our officers are facing more than 1,000% increase in assaults against them, and their families are being doxed and threatened online, the agency said. All right, so now again, you know, people are going to come after these agents now. All right, but it's all tied to, again, to the civil unrest that's going to break out in this place as we see it happening now. Now, before I read that article, I want to go into Ezekiel 7. All right, violence is going to consume the land. All right, so this is Ezekiel 7:20. It says the temple profaned. All right, so giving context. All right, this is going back to during the time of Nebuchadnezzar. All right, when he sacked the first temple in Jerusalem under the southern kingdom of Judah. All right, and then after that, you know, you had the southern kingdom, all right, the house of Judah, that went into exile under the Babylonians. All right, but now there's going to be a sacking of the temple again, so to speak, which is going into the Lord's people, because now now the temple is the Lord's people. All right. So anyway, Ezekiel 7:20 says, "As for the beauty of his ornament, he set it in majesty, but they made the images of their abominations and their detestable things therein. Therefore I have set it far from them, and I will give it into the hands of the strangers for a prey, and to the wicked of the earth for a spoil, and they shall pollute it." All right, and this is happening to Jake again. All right, because the Babylonians today are the Edomites. It says, my face will I turn also from them, and they shall pollute my secret place, for the robbers shall enter into it and defile it. Make a chain, for the land is full of bloody crimes, and the city is full of violence. And this is going to happen again. Okay? The Lord is bringing judgment on Jake. Right? It says, "Wherefore I will bring the worst of the heathen." Okay? Then at that point back then, it was dealing with the Babylonians. Now it's dealing with Esau, the worst of the heathen. "And they shall possess their houses." And it says, "I will also make the pomp of the strong to cease, and their holy places shall be defiled." It says, "Destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there should be none." All right. So again, the destruction that's coming is going to be unheard of, man. And that's why we're seeing the escalation of the violence happening now, right? And going back to this article here, dealing with the doxing of ICE agents. All right. Just read a little bit of that too. I got a video to add to it. It says, quote, it says, "People who, quote, dox, threaten, or lay hands on our officers will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law," the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, said in an October 14th X post. Quote, "Like everyone else, our ICE law enforcement officers just want to go home to their families at night," the agency said, right? Meanwhile, these devils are snatching you up from your family. Okay? And separating you, and throwing you in some damn, concentration camp. The irony, right? It says DHS warned in the July 11th statement that criminals and groups linked to Antifa were involved in identifying immigration and customs enforcement ICE officers in Oregon. Websites that reveal identities of ICE officers and their families, including children, put law enforcement in grave danger, since criminal gangs such as MS-13 and Tren de Aragua murderers and rapists use this information to target law enforcement personnel and their loved ones, DHS said at the time. On October 9th, DHS warned about doxing activities, calling on media and politicians to, quote, tone down their rhetoric about ICE enforcement. Quote, "Our officers are facing a more than 1,000% increase in assaults against them, and their families are being doxed and threatened online," the agency said. All right, and the rest reads. All right, let's go ahead and add to that. All right, because this is the turn up.
So Attorney General Pam Bondi says Facebook has removed the page that was being used to target ICE agents in Chicago. The move comes as the DHS reveals cartels have issued bounties for hits on officers. Griff Jenkins joins us from Washington with the latest on this story. Griff, what do you know?
Well, good morning, Lawrence. I know the threat to ICE and federal immigration law enforcement has never been higher. DHS says there's now this tiered bounty system set up by Mexican cartels. Take a look. They're offering $2,000 for gathering intelligence or doxing immigration agents, $5 to $10 grand for kidnapping of standard ICE officers, and up to $50,000 for the assassination of a high-ranking officer. This after an alleged Latin Kings gang member is accused of putting a bounty on Border Patrol's Commander-at-Large Greg Bovino. $2,000 on info on him, $10,000 if you can, quote, take him down. Now, the gang member's attorney denies any ties to the Latin Kings and paints the man as a, quote, hardworking family man, but Chief Bovino refutes that claim and says things are actually getting worse.
Griff, the Latin Kings are associated with drug cartels, i.e. terrorist organizations, so those bounties remain and, in fact, have actually increased because of this, quote, hardworking man. It's unbelievable.
Meanwhile, in the wake of anti-ICE riots in places like Chicago and Portland, AG Bondi announcing Facebook has removed an ICE spotting group targeting officers. She writes on X, the wave of violence against ICE has been driven by online apps and social media campaigns designed to put ICE officers at risk just for doing their jobs. The Department of Justice will continue engaging tech companies to eliminate platforms where radicals can incite imminent violence against federal law enforcement.
See, so that's why they want to, again, regulate the internet. All right, they're saying radicals online are pretty much amplifying violence against, law enforcement, man. So they got all the excuses lined up to pretty much, to control the internet. All right, it's all part of a bigger picture, right? But nevertheless, hey, it's going to go down horrifically.
Now, a spokesperson for Facebook's parent company, Meta, says, quote, this group was removed for violating our policies against coordinated harm. All of this, Lawrence, comes as you know, ICE continues to face a more than 1,000% increase in assaults. Lawrence?
So I'm curious, Griff, this group, obviously it's the cartel. Is it the part of the cartel that's here in the United States, or are they doing this from foreign land?
Well, it's stemming from Mexican cartels, according to DHS, Lawrence. But as you well know, you've been on the streets of Chicago. They have multiple gangs in Los Angeles, in Boston, in places where ICE has tried to carry it out. And what's remarkable, Lawrence, about what's happening in Chicago, and that's where Bovino had that bounty put on his head, is that Governor Pritzker did an interview yesterday, now threatening to potentially prosecute ICE officers for carrying out federal law enforcement by removing convicted murderers, rapists, gang members that are here illegally in the country. Lawrence?
Well, also, Griff, you have a federal judge that said that they could not have that gate or that fence there, which was there to protect those officers. They already have to have counter snipers on the roofs now because of the threat from high. Now they have to worry about it from low.
Yeah, it's a legal battle about simply putting up fencing to protect an ICE facility where when they are apprehending violent criminal illegal aliens, they take them to this facility in Broadview, Illinois to process them. But yet we've seen night after night the violence. And let's not forget that Mayor Brandon Johnson has claimed to be the resistance leader in getting those protesters to come out. All of this after we just spent a few weeks ago talking about the deadly shooting at a similar ICE facility down in Dallas. Lawrence?
It's unbelievable. Something has to give. Great job, Griff.
Yeah, so anyway, so now, as we just saw, who's behind the cartels, as we know. All right, so this is really going to amplify that target on these, Northern and Southern Kingdom YNs. All right, these niggas that's running around, gang banging and, that look like thugs and niggas, This is really going to put a target on Jake's back, man. All right, so now we're going to see this thing go even to another level. All right, and I just want to see if there's anything else in this first article here. So you see how this thing is about to go, man. Okay, this indeed is Jacob's trouble. Okay, it says Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson have criticized the Trump administration for seeking to send the National Guard to protect ICE agents and facilities from a rebellion. Pritzker says the city and its residents are safe, and there is no evidence of a rebellion, only constitutionally protected protests in front of ICE facilities. Pritzker said on October 5th that ICE operations were creating a war zone and leaving ordinary residents terrorized, right? And that's what's happening. He said that the agents were going after a few gang members, but that at least one of the raids, elderly people and children were held for a few hours. Right? Because they're taking any and everybody. It says if they're not going to focus on the worst of the worst, which is what the president said they were going to do, they need to get the heck out, he told CNN's State of the Union. All right? Let's see. Let's go back to that other one too. Right? About the agents being doxxed. Right? Bear with me. Yeah, so that's it, man. So this shit is about to get brutal, man. Okay? Let's grab this scripture here. All right? Again, the warnings are going out, right? It's about to be blood for blood. All right? This is Isaiah 59:7. All right? Now, this is dealing with Israel, but, you know, you can apply this to Esau as well. All right? Isaiah 59:7, it says, their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity. Wasting and destruction are in their paths. See? The way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their goings. They have made them crooked paths. Whosoever goeth therein shall not know peace. So, hey, this shit is gonna get it's gonna get live, man. Okay, you got ICE agents that's really coming after Jake now on an even higher level, and then you have you know, bounties placed on these ICE agents' heads. You know, their family members are being doxxed. Okay, so it's gonna be a full crash out soon to come, man. All right, but again, you know who's behind it. All right, it's getting ready to go down here, man. Shalom.